हमारे ऑनरेबल स्पीकर ने ज्वाइन कर लिया। आप उनको को होस्ट बनाइए, डॉक्टर अनिल दीक्षित साहब।
हाँ भाई, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार साहब, जय श्री राम।
जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम। हमने कहा भाई ज्वाइन कर लें, फिर आपके पार्टिसिपेंट्स ज्वाइन करते जाएंगे। वो क्लिक ही नहीं हो रहा था। आप लोगों ने शायद अलाउ नहीं किया होगा, तो हम बैठे थे चुपचाप अपने सदरी डाल के।
और ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब, कैसे हैं?
बढ़िया बढ़िया। तुम कहीं कनाट प्लेस में लग रहे हो।
हाँ, मैं कनॉट प्लेस में ही हूँ। और ठीक है सर।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ऑल गुड।
सर, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि यहाँ ऑफिस में बैठ के बैकग्राउंड देख के मुझे ये लग रहा है
हम्म।
कि बस अब आप समझ रहे होंगे कि दिल की बात दिल में ही है।
जल्दी तुम्हारा आगमन होने वाला है।
हाँ हाँ।
तुम्हारी इच्छाएं बहुत जल्दी प्रभु पूरी करने वाले हैं।
जी जी। लुकिंग सर एकदम, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि हैंडसम एंड फैंटास्टिक।
ओह माय गुडनेस। सो नाइस ऑफ यू। कितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं टोटल?
200 प्लस ही हैं अभी जो ज्वाइन करेंगे।
ओह ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट।
डॉक्टर रिवांगिनी और डॉक्टर सईदा, आप अपने अपने ग्रुप्स में बोलिए कि पार्टिसिपेंट्स ज्वाइन करें। हमारे माननीय आज के स्पीकर ने ज्वाइन कर लिया है, ठीक है।
ओके सर।
डॉक्टर प्रगति से तो आप परिचित ही हैं सर।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
और प्रगति तुम्हारा कैसा चल रहा है वो? तुम्हारी
कृषि
भी
नवयुग।
है?
सर कृषि नवयुग बढ़िया चल रहा है।
कृषि नवयुग प्रोग्राम है तुम्हारा?
हाँ सर, आपने उसमें लेक्चर भी दिया था, आप ही का पहला दूसरा लेक्चर
हाँ
था।
हाँ, हमने दिया था, तभी तो हम पूछ रहे हैं। वो तो चूंकि बड़ा लंबा प्रोग्राम था ना, 3 महीने का।
हाँ जी सर, वो भी चल रहा है साइमल्टेनियसली।
वेरी गुड, बहुत बढ़िया है।
जी जी
और ये
सर,
भी
जी
चालू कर दिया।
जी सर।
धमाधम प्रोग्राम चल रहे हैं। कल मुझे बहुत इन्होंने इनवाइट किया था। वो क्या नाम है, सरदार जी आपके, जस्ट एग्रीकल्चर वाले।
जी जी।
तो वो भी लगे हुए थे। तो एक
हम्म।
प्रोग्राम में कल मैं गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर था उनके में।
जी सर।
तो उनकी यही शिकायत थी कि आप जो है किसी खास उनको बड़ा तजब्बो देते, हमको जो है टाइम नहीं देते। हमने कहा नहीं, ऐसी है नहीं है। आप ऐसा मत इल्जाम लगाइए। मैंने कहा मैं तो ऑलवेज रेडी रहता हूँ इन सब चीजों की सर्विसेज देने के लिए। तो
जी सर।
फिर कल था एक रीसेंट एडवांसेस इन बायोटिक स्ट्रेस मैनेजमेंट पे।
जी जी।
और बड़ा धुआंधार लेक्चर था वो। एक्चुअली 1.5 घंटे चला। एक्चुअली उसमें उन्होंने टाइम मेरे हिसाब से कर दिया था, वही मैंने अंकुर को रिक्वेस्ट किया था। एक्चुअली 4 o'clock था वो टाइम।
जी।
सो इट वेंट अप टू 6 o'clock।
ओ। अच्छा,
हाँ।
2 आवर्स।
2 आवर्स वो डिस्कशन भी काफी अच्छे थे पार्टिसिपेंट्स। एक्चुअली वो पूरा पेस डायनेमिक सिनेरियो फिर एलिनो इफेक्ट पे क्या था, मतलब कई चीजें आ गई थी, तो उनको बड़ा
जी
इंटरेस्ट आने लगा।
जी जी जी।
बाद में उन्होंने बड़ा।
नहीं नहीं सर, इस बार ऑडियंस हमारी भी काफी इंथुजियास्टिक है और मुझे लगता है कि
नहीं
आज
रहेगी, रहेगी।
जी।
तुम लोग एक्चुअली सबके मैंने देखा टॉपिक वगैरह बड़े शानदार बनाते हो भाई। और
जी सर जी।
ये जो है थोड़ा सा इन लोगों को देखिए, इस टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से इतना बढ़िया मटेरियल मिल जा रहा है, और हम लोग भी इस बहाने अपडेट हो जाते हैं।
जी बिल्कुल सर।
टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, क्योंकि अदरवाइज तो देखिए फिजिकली मूवमेंट करना इतना आसान नहीं है ना।
हाँ जी सर जी जी।
तो
लेकिन बिना आपके आशीर्वाद से हमारा फिजिकल मूवमेंट कोई हो भी नहीं पाता।
हाँ, हम तो भाई कोशिश करते हैं तुम्हारे जो इम्पोर्टेंट प्रोग्राम्स हैं उसमें फिजिकली भी पहुंचे।
कितने
चाहे
बड़े बड़े
संग,
प्रोग्राम आपने कैंसिल किए हैं, शायद आपको पता होगा।
संगरूर संगरूर हो, चाहे चंडीगढ़ हो, चाहे अभी आने वाले समय में आई डोंट नो
हाँ,
वेयर यू आर प्लानिंग।
हाँ सर,
तो
पहला इनविटेशन आप ही के पास आएगा सर।
अच्छा।
हम्म।
सर अब तो ब्रोशर का इनॉग्रेशन आपके ऑफिस में आपके हाथों से होगा।
आय हाय क्या बात है। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। यस।
विद इन 2 मिनट्स, 3 मिनट से स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं डॉक्टर साहब।
हाँ हाँ ठीक है।
हम्म। डॉक्टर रिवांगिनी, आप स्टार्ट करिए।
Oh, okay, sir. Knowledge grows when experience meets curiosity, and innovation begins when science reaches society. Namaskar to one and all present here. On behalf of AgriMeet Foundation Bharat and our visionary leader, Dr. Ankur Sharma sir, Chief Secretary of the Foundation and Course Director of Ankuran 2026, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all the participants, faculty members, researchers, and students joining us today. I am Dr. Evangini Ranja, Director HR and Academics, AgriMeet Foundation Bharat, and your host for this evening. As we gather for Day 5 of Ankuran 2026, it is my great privilege and honor to introduce a distinguished scientist, a visionary research administrator, and our esteemed speaker for today's session, Dr. Anil Dikshit sir. Dr. Dikshit sir is currently serving as Joint Director at ICR NIBSM Raipur, Chhattisgarh, an alumnus of the prestigious Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. He earned both his MSc Agriculture and PhD under ICR fellowships. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in Education Technology Management from NARM, Hyderabad. With an illustrious career spanning more than 30 years in ICR, including 16 years as professor and principal scientist, Dr. Dikshit sir has made remarkable contribution to agriculture research, teaching, technology development, and institutional leadership. He has also nurtured countless students and young scientists through his teaching engagements at premier institutions such as IRI New Delhi and JNKVV Jabalpur. His outstanding scientific contributions have earned him numerous prestigious national and international accolades, including Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed ICR National Award, Rafi Ahmed Khadwai Award, Annie Burlog Award, MS Swaminathan Award, ISA Gold Medal, and the Lifetime Achievement Award, among several others. A pioneer in innovation, Dr. Dikshit sir has developed more than 20 advanced technologies, diagnostic kits, and precision agriculture tools, including GPS guided and remote sensing based systems. He also holds 3 granted patents, reflecting his commitment to translating scientific research into practical solutions for farmers. His work had significantly benefited farming communities across the country through flagship programs such as Farmer First, Biotech Kisan, Tribal Subplan, and NEH initiatives, strengthening agriculture outreach in rural and tribal regions. Dr. Dikshit sir has authored over 300 scientific publications, including research papers, books, technical manuals, bulletins, and policy documents. He has also played a crucial role in developing the National Wheat Atlas, an important contribution to agriculture science and policy planning. Overall, Dr. Dikshit sir is widely respected for his leadership in agriculture research, technological innovation, policy support, and farmer centric development, contributing immensely to sustainable and climate resilient agriculture in India. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Anil Dikshit sir. And now, without further ado, I respectfully invite Dr. Dikshit sir to address the gathering and share his valuable insights and experiences with all of us. Sir, the platform is all yours. Please.
Thank you, Revangi. I think this is your first exposure for such kind of program. And
Yes, sir.
really, it's a compliment to you, the Chief Secretary, Dr. Ankur, and I think Director of this organization, Dr. Pragati, and entire team that you have performed the fantastic job in introducing to any speaker for such
Thank you,
forum,
sir.
and wish you all
Thank
the
you,
very
sir.
best for
Thank,
your growth and career.
thank you,
So
sir.
let me congratulate to the AgriMeet Foundation for organizing such a wonderful program, and always they are doing the fantastic job in terms of any uh, training program or the capacity building program and the faculty development program. So To begin with, distinguished dignitaries, eminent scientists, faculty members, resource person, and dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of great pleasure for me to address this August gathering of 30 days summer school cum training program. The beautiful part of AgriMeet Foundation is that they used to coin a fantastic term. In back of my seat, it's a nutrient. It's there. Memento. I used to see those things. Then Ankur, then advancing new knowledge for upscaling research and agricultural networks. But first of all, whenever I have to deliver a talk in such forum, I used to read the nutrient anchor like that because if you are addressing in a gathering like a learned group, so you should aware of what anchor is there. So the Pragati was telling about the Navyuk, so I got blank that what Navyuk. So you people, it's really complimenting for coining a wonderful, designing a wonderful courses. That is a very important part. So let me give you the first of all to begin my lecture. Actually, I will talk on. Yesterday, I talked on the recent advances in the biotic stress management. So I thought of today I will talk on the next generation wheat science because a lot of participants were very curious about the knowing about the wheats and this thing. So I thought of let me have another talk, a special talk today. So I kept in that way only. So basically, when we talk about the climate changes and the other issues, emerging pest and disease, declining natural resources, and the market volatility. So basically, you see that from 1st June to 17th June, the rainfall is short of 38%. This is a very serious issue. And our agriculture system is fully depend on the monsoon rains. That is very important natural resources. What is the very important natural resources? So all things are depend on the water only. So basically the research institutions which are involved for developing the future of agriculture, of integrating the advanced sciences, like digital technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, precision farming, climate smart agriculture. So basically, these are the aspects where the all other institutions, be it ICR institutions, SUs, or the our CGIR partners, they all are doing in the same fashion the areas which I have focused here. So basically, what I wanted to tell you in the nutshell that the Ankur program, which it has been designed for the 30 days school come training program. So it is basically roaming around the such kind of technological approaches and knowledge generation. Knowledge generation, basically, it's about the climate smart agriculture, sustainable crop intensification, and the AI-driven agriculture. So, and more importantly, the precision nutrient and water management. Our Khet Bachao Abhiyan is going on from 1st June to 30th June by the Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And all the scientists are dedicatedly, they are doing their, every day they are going to the villages and nearby places to means to tell the farmers that how best you can use your field with the minimal use of chemical fertilizer, because the government of India, they spending 2 lakh crores of money towards the your subsidy. So basically, government wants to save the money towards the subsidy, and at the same time, we have to have a our soil conditions in a better way. because the soil is condition is deteriorating. So if your health is not good, then definitely you are not going to get the good body and your good physiology and the biochemical in your human body also. So likewise, the knowledge generation, we generally focus it on it. And basically the knowledge integration we have to do with the other disciplines of agriculture like agronomy, soil science, and the biotechnology, and engineering, remote sensing, GIS technology is there. And then again, the economics and the social science. Here in the Biotech Stress Management Institute also, we have a very important schools, because the our institutions is infrastructure and the administrative setup in is such a way that we have four joint directors leading to one of these schools. So myself is crop health management research. So another important aspect is on policy. So that's what I was telling about the economics, and the social science is also very important. So policy approach is also very important, because policy leads to the development of any technology in the futuristic science, because the policy will tell you that how best you can have a such kind of technology, or the knowledge generation and the integration of the different system for developing the sustainable agriculture module. Then again, the dissemination and the networking aspects, what is. So what I thought of.
डॉक्टर साहब सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू, आपकी पीपीटी मूव नहीं हो रही।
नहीं, पीपीटी अभी मैंने शुरू नहीं की है।
अच्छा, सॉरी
पीपीटी
सॉरी 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 सॉरी।
मैंने बस अभी थोड़ा सा ये अंकुर को थोड़ा सा स्पेल आउट करने का प्लान किया था।
अरे माय गुडनेस सर।
अंकुर कि अंकुर का जो ये आपने कॉइन किया है, सो
अंकुरन।
व्हाट अंकुरन, सो व्हाट डज इट मीन एक्चुअली, बेसिकली व्हाट यू वांटेड टू टेल टू द audience and your participants about the scientific research, that scientific research must address on these issues which I told you about, the climate resilient or whatever the things I told you. Then the knowledge integration about the different disciplines which are there in the agriculture system. So why I am focusing on such aspect is that each and every one of you, the participants who are there, they are important for their knowledge dissemination and the networking of the things. And the participants of this program have the unique opportunity to interact with the expert and the exchange of idea to develop a collaborative networks. That is very important. So I congratulate the organizers for having such kind of program. And now I begin with my talk, which I have focused on the aspect. The sharing is not allowing. Not my slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we'll begin with our talk on the next generation wheat science strategy, and for the resilient and climate smart agriculture. So yeah, okay. It's a problem with my mouse something. Okay, now I tell you about the Indian agriculture scenario. What present we have a present level of production in our country is latest figure is 377 million ton. Because this data is of 24. So what I want to say here, that if you see the current level of production system and what we need when we talk about the Viksit Bharat of 2047, so we have to have a more than 500 million ton of food production. That is very important aspect. And another important point is that not only you have to increase the food production, you have to have a quality food production. That's what we talk about, the nutrition security, and our thali should have all sort of nutrition rather than roughage is there. So you have to more focus it on the concentrated kind of food rather than having a roughage in your thali. Another thing is that if you look at the fruit production and the vegetable production, so again, the present scenario which we have, of course, that we have a good quantity of vegetable and food production. But again, you have to have a almost double when we talk about the 2047. And more important point is that you look at the water use efficiency and the nitrogen use efficiency. Here, the water use efficiency is 40%, which has to be increased around 60% at the Viksit Bharat. And again, nitrogen use efficiency is around the 35%. So it has to be increased by 50%. So overall, this kind of scenario is there in the production system. Again, the sustainability issue is there in crop production. What are the issues are there? If you look at the agriculture issues, so one is the important point is the declining soil health. That's what the Khet Bachao Abhiyan is going on, that you should have a more green manure, you should have a more kind of biologically rich manure in the field rather than having the more chemical fertilizer. Then you should ponder over the crop residue management. Then least attended the intervening period, labor shortage is there, multiple nutrient deficiencies there, because we are more focusing on the NPK use, but we have a little focus on the boron, zinc, manganese. So they are also equally important. Likewise, in your body, when you go for the blood testing, when your blood test says that you have a deficiency of B12 or you have a deficiency of vitamin D, so now those factors are all, or if you have a less sodium, less potassium, then scenario is very different. Even many the people, they are facing a very serious health concern when your sodium and the potassium disbalance is there. So likewise, in our field condition, also in the soil health condition, that you have to manage, you have to balance your all macro and the micronutrients at the proper level. Then declining crop response is there. Whenever the inputs are being poured into the field, that declining response is there. And high energy requirement is there. High energy requirement means that you have to more dependent on the machinery. You have to have a more use of your resources. So those conditions are basically issues. And ultimately, the all things depends on the economics. So ultimately, if your economic is low, then it is not going to harness the good yield, and it is not going to have a benefited effect. The ecological effect is the issues, basically the declining the water table. That is again an important aspect. I told you that water is the most important natural resources in today's scenario. Then groundwater pollution is there because of your chemical fertilizer and the pesticide use. That's what in the Punjab and Haryana and the other state, they are facing hard for such kind of pollution. Then we have a diverse weed flora, because this topic is mainly related to the weed science. So I will focus it on more that how diverse weed flora is there in the different kind of ecosystem, and with the presence of different production system. Then definitely the outbreaks of insect disease pest are there. Yesterday, when I was talking about the pest disease scenario, so because this institute is basically a plant protection institute of biotic stress management, dealing with the all sort of biotic factors. Biotic factors means you have a problem of insect, you have a problem of disease, weeds, nematodes, and other microorganisms. So all living sort of organism which is giving to the stress plant is considered as a biotic stresses. So ultimately, the new pest invasion is there. We talked about that few months back, we had a problem of fall armyworm in the maize in the many areas. And again, that pink stem borer, which is again new insect in the wheat condition. So that is also a problematic. Again, we have a problem of, suppose I was reading today one of the important article on the lychee. So lychee mite is also another problem. So likewise, the every year you are facing a new pest dynamics in the system. And because of the aberrant weather condition, because of the El Nino effect, when you have a shortage of rainfall, then if you are having a more dry spell, so certainly such condition is favoring to the pest like aphids, jassets, likewise. So this was the little picture of overall the biotic stresses I thought of to share with you. Then certainly the climate issues already I have discussed a lot, and in my later part of presentation I will be discussing more that how climate issues are creating a problem in this system. Again, the population growth, if you look at the 2050, or you may call it as a 2040, that population may go up to more than 110 billion. And to feed that population, that you have to increase the food production by 70%, almost doubling. I told you that figures of 24 and what you need in the 2047. So ultimately, if you look at the current total global grain production, this is the global figure which I am sharing to you, that is around 2.30 billion metric ton. So ultimately, if you are assuming a 10% loss of the wheats, the losses to the grain production is of 230 million metric ton. And here, if the loss can be reduced by half, so grain production would increase by the more than 100 million metric ton. So weeds in agriculture, basically it affects the process and the agro ecosystem with the competition for the crop and for nutrients, water, and the light. So basically, there are certain chemicals which released by the root exudates and the foliar leachates, which is toxic to the crop. It is considered as a allelopathy. And here also we have worked even in Advisor Wheat Science Institute at Jabalpur. So there also, because I served there for 20 years, and then I was the herbicide program in charge, and I handled that project for 20 years and generated around the 1.3 crores of herbicide screening and development of new molecules, dealing with the industry and the other stakeholders. And the another important aspect of weed is that it serves as a host for pests. Many insect pests, mites, pathogens are hosting to the weeds. And lantana and parthenium, these are the most deadly weeds, particularly the parthenium. Parthenium is one chemical is there, parthenin. So parthenin is released from the parthenium, and basically it affects the human and animal health. And diversity losses is there because of the parthenium lantana mecania, because the mecania is very much prevalent in the Kerala region. Lantana is very much in the Himachal region. So these are the affecting the biodiversity, and in the many national park is also getting the such kind of problem. So major problem in the weeds in agriculture, basically, if you look at the cropland conditions, so Felis minor, Echinoclova, wild rice, these are the important weeds which are affecting the cropland. Felis is #1 weed in wheat crop, and Echinoclova colonna is #1 in rice crop. And non-crop situation, Parthenium, Lantana, Mecania, Mimosa. So these are the basically these are the invasive weeds which came from the outside the country. And basically, Parthenium came with the import of wheat in 1955, and it was first reported in the Pune. Then water bodies, weeds, water hyacinth, it's a very serious issue. In the Hindi, we used to call it as a jalkumbi. Then Salvinia and Hydrilla, these are the weeds which are prevalent in the many lakes in the Kerala region. Then if you talk about the parasitic weeds, so Orabanki, Striga, Cascuta, these are the some important parasitic weeds which are affecting the production system in the field crop as well as in the non-crop situations. So if you look at the losses caused by the pest, so disease is causing 22%, insect is 29%, and weed is causing yield loss of 37%. So almost 1/3 losses due to weed is there if you look at the different kind of biotic stresses. And if you look at the losses in different crops, so the maximum losses is in the direct seeded rice, followed by the other crops. And the economic losses, if you look at the different crops in rice and wheat, it is more. So it is more, and total losses due to weeds in the field condition is 1 lakh crore rupees. And losses due to invasive weeds, which is of not a native of our country. So basically 22% of the natural habitat across the 20 Indian states, and have the potential to reach up to 66% of the green area in India. And out of the 11 invasive plants, Lantana camara was the most invasive species, covering around the 50% of the natural habitats. So one-time management of invasive species in Indian forest will lead to the 13.5 US dollar billion. So this much cost is involved for one-time management of the invasive weeds. So management of invasive weeds is such a laborious, cumbersome, and very difficult. So what are the major issues in the weed management system? So basically non-availability of farm labor, lack of efficient machinery, low adoption of integrated weed management. That is very important aspects. I will tell you in my later part of the presentation that how best you can utilize the IWM model for managing the weeds. Increasing the problem of herbicide resistance is there. So 2 to 3 years, if you are using a one chemical, if you are applying that chemical in the field condition to control the weeds, but after 3 years or the later part, that herbicide becomes the resistance, that you will not get the good control of weeds by the use of such chemicals. So this is a very serious issue. That's why I have flagged in the red line of increasing problem of herbicide resistance in weeds. The another thing is that management of weeds in the conservation agriculture, because we are talking about the conservation agriculture and talk much about the organic and natural farming. Your Gujarat governor, and they are advocating the natural farming, and of course that natural farming has the lot of potential. Only thing is that you have to streamline, you have to manage the weeds in a nice way, and ultimately it is going to have a organic product, chemical free product, which has the more nutritive value, and that's the demand of today, that we want to have a quality food material rather than having in the chemical infected feed material food. Then another issue is the management of invasive weeds, which I told you, management of parasitic, and the of course that climate change is affecting your plant protection system in a much more bigger way. So that is the another problem. The another point is that the stakeholders concerned. So what the stakeholders concerned is there, that invasion of new weed species. It is not only the weed species. I told you about the pest species also, and rising cost of manual weeding, non-availability of labor. That is a serious issue. When your weeding time is there at the peak season, you will not get the labor on time. The another point is that we always talk about the herbicide use in different field crop, orchard, and the vegetable. But the problem is that the application technique part for the herbicide is entirely different as compared to the pesticide application. So here that is very important. Another point is that non-availability of the quality herbicides. So that is also a very serious issue. The another important point is that the spurious chemicals. I had one discussion in the Doordarshan program just a few days back, and there I advocated from that forum very much that it's a finding from the writer. Writer is the international news agency, where they pointed out that that millions dollar money is involved for the spurious chemical in India, and almost 30% market is flooded with the spurious chemical. You see that how much serious concern is there. Costly herbicides are there, large packaging of herbicides, the registration of new molecules, it takes around your 20 to 25 crores of rupees. So that is also a very costly affair, and you cannot afford to have a more number of registration of the new molecules. Then lack of awareness and the extension efforts, that is also a serious problem. That's what the such program conducting by the AgriMeet Foundation is commendable, and the complementing that By this way, you are educating to the young budding scientist that how best you can utilize the knowledge level in your journey of career. And the another last point is that nobody gives the importance to the weeds, because sometimes weeds is fall in the no man's land. When the non-crop situation is there, roadside, railway track side, you will find when you will travel that lot of weeds are there. So this is the another serious concern, that giving the importance in such area is very less. Now, the water losses through aquatic weeds, how serious it is, you might have seen in your locality that many ponds are flooded with such kind of deadly weeds of water hyacinth, echino, ecarnia. So ecarnia is the number one aquatic weeds, and this has the more higher transpiration than the that of the free water surface. So your flow of water canal is reduced to 40 to 90%. You see that how much deadly effect is there. Again, that weeds as a host for the insect pest and pathogens. So here, Bracharia ramosa is the weed which is host for the rice mealybug, and the Parthenium is host for the papaya mealybug. So such examples are there. Then non-ability of farm labor, this is the biggest challenge, and you can see that how the figures from 24, 25 to 2018-19, the just I wanted to show that 15 years of data, that percentage of prime working age population is there if you look at the 20 to 59 years of the agriculture employment. So here the agriculture to drive growth may face the stagnation of the deployment of the labor in the field condition. The another is the lack of efficient weeding machinery. It's because there are weeds which are mimic to the crop plant, like barnyard grass and rice, vegetably propagated weeds, Cynodon dactylon and the Cyprus rotundus. So these are the some of the weed which are mimic to the rice crop. So very difficult to control at the initial level. Then cost and time required more than 2 to 3 times. So here the lower efficacy for the intra-row weed control is there, and high capital cost is involved by managing the weeds through this kind of technique. Then again, the lack of real integrated weed management technologies and their adoption. I told you in the beginning that IWM is the holistic approach, and which integrates the different method of weed control to provide the crop with an advantage over weeds. So such kind of weed management technique is very important. So ultimately, the crop diversification is the key for the success of the IWM. And here in the Chhattisgarh government, the government has planned that, because this Chhattisgarh is the rice bowl belt. So what the farmers they are doing, they are following that rice fallow system, because irrigation system 82% is dependent on the rain-fed system. So when the Rabi season there is not rain, the no conserved moisture is there. So if the irrigation facility is not there, so certainly they have to have fallow land. So here, if the government, what government has planned that if you are taking another crop other than rice, so government is planning to give 15,000 rupees as an incentive per acre to the farmers. So this is a very good initiative, and at the national level it has been appreciated. So likewise, if you will give the incentive to the farmers, then only their mindset will change. Then they will change from rice to others remunerative crop. So such sort of approach is very much required. This is the consumption data that our country is more dependent on the insecticide, pesticide. You see the very serious figure, 51.4% is red is there, because this insecticides has more toxic value than the herbicides, because the LD50 value for the herbicide is higher as compared to the insecticide. That's why in packaging material in the market, if you look at the pesticides, the insecticides comes in the red this color coding. If you look at the color coding is there in the every boxes, and so most of the color coding of insecticide is red, whereas in the herbicide it comes under the green or the blue. So that is there. Only one herbicide comes under the yellow category, which is the paraquat. So this is the herbicide used in different countries. So you can see that we are very less in herbicide use as compared to the Brazil, Argentina, and this. And why the Brazil, Argentina is higher? Because they are using more herbicide tolerant crops. So herbicide tolerant crop, you have to use the non-selective molecules of glufosinate and the glyphosate. These are the two molecules which are very much effective for the herbicide tolerant crop. Now I'll little talk on the herbicide resistant weeds. So at the global level, 530 cases of their HR weed globally, and especially with 272 species of 155 dicotyledonous and 170 for monocots. So such alarming figure is there. And weeds have evolved the resistance to 21 to 31 known herbicide size to action. So ultimately, the ALS inhibitors are the most prone to resistance, and followed by the trigens and the SECase inhibitors. So these three mode of actions herbicides are more prevalent for the resistance development. These are some of the examples of herbicide resistance weed in wheat. You look at the isoprotron case in 1993, it was introduced for control of Felis manner. But now, you look at the Punjab and Haryana, if you will apply isoproton, ultimately the isoproton has been withdrawn by the company. Now no more isoproton is available. Maybe very few companies they are manufacturing it. Otherwise, it has been withdrawn from the market. So ultimately, then the chlordinofop pinoxidine, these came, then sulfosulfuron, then again the cross resistance problem came. So again, these molecules were withdrawn. So again, the new molecules of Atlantis and the metsulfuron and the other molecules are there. So ultimately, the herbicide industry and the pesticide industry, they are doing the all sort of permutation combination, making the ready mix combination, and to deal with the herbicide resistance issue and the herbicide resistant weed issue in many ways. So, and another story I'll tell you, that because of the herbicide residue in the food and soil and the impact of human health and the non-target organisms like fish and other things, which we are not going to target to kill if we are applying herbicides in the water bodies. So basically in 330 pesticides into 859 59 formulations registered. So the government of India published the draft notification to provision of 27 pesticides, including the 7 herbicides, pendimethalin, 2,4-deoxyfluorone, atrazine, butachlor. But now the government has put this notification on hold, and they have given the certain period of withdrawing these molecules. And the more importantly, the glyphosate was reported in the because the one person in the US who was working with the Monsanto company, and basically that he was diagnosed with the cancer. So ultimately that findings came out that it has carcinogenic value. So because of that, he was given the lot of compensation by the company, and it was a very hot talk that this glyphosate has the carcinogenic this thing. But here I will tell you that glyphosate is such a safest molecule, because when you are applying in the soil, it is immediately get inactivated in the field condition. So basically, this molecule is very safe. But again, it was a lot of discussion and a lot of work is going on. So this was also put under the restricted use by the pest control operators, that is PCOs. Then in conservation agriculture, we talk about the conservation agriculture. So ultimately, the conservation agriculture practices is also affecting the weed management in many ways. But the problem of perennial weeds comes in the later part of the system after 5th and 6th years, that we have observed in the that grassy weeds and the rice mealybug and the zero tillage direct seeded rice. Invasive weeds management, then we have a successful example of Gycograma bicolorata, that is the Mexican beetle, which controls the Parthenium. Basically feeds on the Parthenium, and Nicotiana species for the water hyacinth, and Critobagus salvinia for salvinia. These are some of the successful example of the biocontrol in the water bodies. But the problem is that it has a limited availability, and the multiplication is very costly, and it has slow in action. That is the biggest problem. That's why nobody wants to have believe on the biological control. But again, we should have a option for such kind of management system when we are dealing with such kind of management. And here for parasitic weeds also, when we talk about the Cuscuta or striga, so these are some of the parasitic weeds which needs the physical and the biochemical physiological connections. And basically this higher seed production is there, and we have limited herbicide options. Only thing is that you have to go for the crop rotation and some kind of deep tillage and the other system. Then only you can have a better control on the parasitic weeds. Then we talk about the climate change, what will be the effect for the weed management in the changing climate. So here we had some example in the OTC and the phase facility which is designed for the climate change scenario. So here the growth under elevated carbon dioxide, the responses for the C4, C3 plant is observed. So the ultimately we observed that here in the ambient and the elevated condition, the biomass of the Parthenium hystophorus, that is a C4 plant, was more as compared to the C3 plant. And again, the efficacy of the chlorinophore under the ambient CO2 and the elevated CO2, you can look at the picture. Ambient CO2, the weeds is killed, but here the elevated CO2, the plant is green. So this is the problem. And again, the maturity also, if you see the elevated CO2, the maturity is fast. So that is also because the maturity is fast, so it means that grain filling is not there. You see that all this having the hollow kind of thing. So these are some of the another example of the herbicide efficacy under the changing climate, that some of the times of this, because the bisbaribacter is the leading molecule for rice. Then again, the tambotrione, atrazine, and the chlorinophore sulfoxyron, metsulfuron, and the topromazone plus atrazine. These are the molecules which are very effective for controlling weeds in the maize and the wheat system. So, but the responses, some of the time is early response and the delayed response are there. So, likewise, different systems is there. So what are the new vistas are there in the weed management? So ultimately, the real integrated weed management is the multiple tactics approach. And here the ecological approach says the crop diversification, the crop geometry. Then automated weed control system is robots are coming. The IIT fellow from Kanpur, he has developed the robots for weed management technique, image processing, and the remote sensing. When we talk about the AI-based weed management in the modern technology, because we are dependent heavily on the excessive herbicide use and the higher production cost is involved. So certainly computer vision based weed identification is important, which has the deep learning and the real-time weed detection is there. I'll show you some of the slides on the digital technology for the weed management also. Then weed management of natural and the organic farming, nano herbicides, genomics advances to the next generation. Genomics, basically we have a certain wild relatives of the weeds. So those weeds has the genetic changes for the if those genes, if you can insert in the crop, so that crop may have the better adaptability in the aberrant weather condition, because the weeds are tough in nature, so they are very much effective in the changing climate scenario. Then weed crop interaction with the herbicide efficacy, then weed utilization is also very, very important. There certain weeds are there. You see that all your homeopathy and the Ayurvedic medicines are made of weeds only. That one of the best liver tonic is from the Phyllanthus neruri. That is again the weed. And public-private partnership and the information technology for extension. So again, it has the value in the weed management program. So ultimately, you should have a knowledge for the weed biology and the ecology, and ultimately harvest weed seed control. Harvest weed seed control is basically you have to have a means a minimal weed seed in the field condition, because the 1 year seeding is the 7-year weeding. So ultimately, you have to harvest the weed seed in the field condition. So these are some of the examples of the integrated weed management system with the manual cultural practices of how best you can have a competitive ability of the crop based on the density, geometry, and the planting material. So you should have a more tillering, more early vigor, so better root competition. So basically, it's a trade-off between the potential yield and the weed competition. So these are some of the variety which has the more number of weeds and having the low weed pressure. So certain diversification can be the leading role in managing the weeds in the field condition. So based on those things, we used to recommend that how best you can have a crop mixes and sequences for maximizing capture the light and the nutrient availability in the field condition. So again, the same crop diversification, the issue for the intercropping, we can have a intercropping. So basic idea is that for weed management program, whenever you are having a wider spaced crop like maize, sugarcane, and other widely spaced crop, you have to utilize the spaces which has been left in between the rows. That should be the idea of. So better resource use, weed suppression, and spatial arrangement is there. Herbicide resistant crops. So basically there are certain advantage of HR, but because of the policy and this thing, our government of India, they have not allowed. Only limitation with the herbicide resistant crop, whenever the wild relatives or any pollen transfer, that weed is becoming the super weed, because that weed will not be controlled by the use of glyphosate or the glyphosate, because that is also is resistant to the non-selective herbicides. Then you don't have any answer to control that particular superweed. That's why it is called as a superweed. Then we have a very important headway from the IRI. They have developed the mesotapire tolerant rice and Pusa Basmati 1979 and Pusa Basmati 1985. So basically, it contains a mutated axial lactase synthase ALS genes, basically. So this hybrid rice technology is very much available, and Adama and Savannah, these are the private partners. They are providing the seeds to the farmers, and you can have it very well. So here you can have a sequential application of this mesotapire 100 gram per hectare, 14 to 20 days. So basically, this will provide the excellent weed control. And the beauty of this variety is that mesotapire tolerant rice, that in the nowadays we are getting a wild rice problem in many areas. And for wild rice control, normal way, there is no short method is there. So ultimately, you have to have such kind of technology, then only you can control the wild rice in the field condition. This is the precision weed management and the robotics, what I was talking about, that how best you can have a use of machine vision and the weed control automations. Basically, the idea is that it has the real-time weed detection and the specific species identifications. So early intervention is there. So ultimately, you can have a AI detection for the Parthenium and the other things. So that may form a leading edge of the technology revolution of the broader weed management program. Genomic advancing for the next generation. So use of RNA technology, which involves the silence of the key weed gene and the leading to either increased weed susceptibility. So that also has the many ways effective for such kind of technology approach. Then bio-based approach, you have a successful example of different biocontrol agents and natural products of allelopathic compounds. Of course, the work is going on, but we have a certain leads on the bioherbicides also. So those bioherbicides and microism, which inhibits the weed growth and the ultimately discovering of those microbial natural products suppress the weed population. Then phytoremediation of the polluted water utilizing the aquatic weeds. So here the Arundodonyx and the Typha latifolia, these are the two important weeds which has the capacity of your phytoremediation. They can reduce the content of nickel, cadmium, and the nitrate and the iron. So such toxic heavy metals can be phytoremediated through the use of these kind of. So these weeds can be grown in the nalas and the where the a lot of rough materials are coming. So those phytoremediation can be well constructed in the by the corporation. So this technology actually basically we gave it to the corporation people, and they developed some of the ponds, this small ponds for the growing of Arundodonyx and the Typha. Then I was talking about the information technology and the extension services, how best you can utilize it. So nowadays it's era of digital technology. So basically the big data management and the digital farming, you can have a all sort of your media and the social media and the different kind of mobile apps. So certainly with the help of this, you can have a better weed management technology. And ultimately for public-private partnership, so here the weed scientists and the herbicide industry, they have to have a very close association for the technology development, and ultimately the judicious use of herbicides and spray technology, use of integrated weed management for sustainable agriculture development, these are the required. So future technology innovations, already I have spoken about the biotechnology, nanotechnology, novel chemistry. We talk about the green chemistry because the molecules which were needed for the 2 to 4 kg for 240 and other things, now we need a 1 to 2 gram. So likewise, the this kind of techniques are there, and they, of course, that CRISPR-Cas9 and the RNA technology is there for doubling the weed genomics. And mycoherbicide and the bioherbicides, of course, the work is going on, but certainly their feasibility in the field condition, again, it's a question mark. But again, we can have it for a wider adaptability and more options for the weed management program. Again, the robotics, drone application, AI, this AI-based weed emergence forecasting is there. So basically, again, the machine learning models integrate the your all sort of climatic parameters for weed emergence timing and the other things. Then satellite-based weed surveillance is there. Robots, I told you that it can detect weeds automatically and they remove weeds mechanically. So ultimately to apply the micro doses, because through drone technology or robots, you have a very precise application of the herbicides. So you need a lower dose of chemicals. The intelligent agronomic practice is nothing but the precision agriculture and the all sort of your site-specific weed management program, site-specific nutrient management, site-specific weed management, site-specific your application technique. So basically, we have to dependent on the 4R technology. 4R means the right dose, right time, right method of application, and right source. So based on the 4R approach, whether it's using it for the fertilizer use or whether it is using for the pesticide application, it has to be done in the judicious way. These are the some conventional herbicide for the weed control in rice, butaclop, and these are all age-old molecules. Now, new low-dose, high-potency molecules are there for rice, which is the bisbaribec, phenoxaprop, azimsulfone, and the bensulfone, petlacrone. This is the ready mix combination. Likewise, low doses, high potency herbicides molecules are there for wheat crop. So ultimately, already I told you this thing, elevated this temperature, already I told you. So basically, the knowledge of wheat science depends on the first important thing is that systematization of the methods, how considering the climate, soil, and the different kind of cropping behavior and the socioeconomic condition. So one has to have a preventive method. So prevention is better than cure. So you should have a quarantine, farm hygiene, and the if you are using a cow dung, because the cow dung contains the heavy number of your wheats. So if the cow dung is not fully rotten, it should be a cold cow dung rather than hot cow dung, because the hot cow dung means that again the your wheat seed is in live condition, and if you will put that in the field condition, so certainly that wheat seed will emerge and you will have a full more number of wheats in the field condition. Then mechanical and the manual methods are there. Of course, already I told you that how best you can utilize those technology. Even one technology is also there, solarization. Soil solarization is nothing but it has to be done in the hot summer month like May, and the plastic white transplant sheet is spread in the field condition. But it is very costly affair. The small farmers cannot afford to have it such kind of technology. But yeah, the farmers, bigger farmers, and the your advanced farmer, if they are using it in nursery or the small area where the high value crop is grown, high value orchard is there, then certainly such kind of technology can be very useful. Then you should have a cultural and ecological method, still seedbed technique. Still seedbed technique is nothing but you can allow the weeds to grow, like you are inviting to your enemy, you come out, then you will shoot all of them one by one. So likewise, if you will irrigate the field, your weed will come out in the land, and after 10 to 15 days, you will kill by mechanical way, plowing down, or you can kill by using the glyphosate or glyphosate non-selective or paraquat for killing those weeds. So you will kill a first flush of weeds. Then certainly after sowing of any crop, you will have a less number of weeds in the field condition. Then chemical method, already I've spoken, biological also. So certainly then important message from this diagram is that integrated weed management is the factor which has the environmental safety, increase the crop yield and increasing the crop production, and ultimately it is increasing the crop yield per capita. So ultimately, this is the digital technology for the weed management. I talked to you already that how best advancement in the digital technologies there, drones and the sensor-based technologies there, image analysis software, artificial intelligence for using the different kind of precision herbicide application, because the AI-enabled sprayers are also there, which can distinguish weeds from the crop in milliseconds. So ultimately, herbicide will be sprayed to weeds only. So ultimately, advantage is that 60 to 90% reduction is there through herbicide use. So such kind of advantage is there when we are using a AI-based technology or the digital technology for smart weeding. Drones are there for autonomous weed detection. And you see that broadcast herbicide applications are there, how best you can broadcast through the using it with drone application. Again, this is the technology, and already the registration is being given by the CIB, that is a Central Insecticide Board, for using bisbaribec sodium and the in the rice crop. So weed recognition and mapping also, already I told you that weed can recognize with the help of AI and this thing. So ultimately, it is important for the site-specific management. So the real-time detection and the spraying techniques are there for laser weed control, which having the. So basically, the future of weed management is not the blanket spraying. So ultimately, it has to be the intelligent site-specific intervention. That's what I was telling about the site-specific weed management or the site-specific fertilizer management. So basically, the artificial intelligence enables the farmers to identify the right weed at the right place and apply the right control measures at the right time. This is the basic idea of using the artificial intelligence. Is again the site-specific and site application. So finally, the take-home message is that you have your integrated weed management program for involving the chemical and the non-chemical approach, and the conservation agriculture. Basically, it's a machine-driven agriculture and better utilization of the residue in the field condition. So it has the more potential in the field condition, and farmers are being told to use such kind of technology. And basically, when we talk about the AI, the simple formula for artificial intelligence, drones, sensor, robotics, then climate intelligence is basically the smart weed management in your climate resilient agriculture. So with this note, thank you very much. And I hope that with the help of this presentation, you may develop a sound weed management program in your future learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such a valuable knowledge and insightful presentation with all of us. And now we'll have doubt clearing session. So dear participants, if anyone have any queries or questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions directly to Dr. Dikshit sir, or you can drop your doubt in the chat box to read. The chat box is open to all.
डाउट के लिए सर छोड़ते ही कहाँ है कुछ। वो तो अपना प्रोटोकॉल है जो पूछना पड़ता है कि भाई डाउट हो किसी को,
नहीं,
नहीं
मैंने
तो कुछ छोड़ते ही नहीं।
कल के भी डाउट्स ले लिए एक्चुअली अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में। मैंने कहा कि कल कुछ डाउट्स जो थे लोगों के, वो मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन में क्लियर कर दिए हैं, इसलिए हो सकता है कि आपके लोगों के डाउट्स जो है ज्यादा ना आए।
Sir, we have one question with us. The question is, what are measures to control wheat in natural farming?
You see, the natural farming, basically, we have to dependent on the use of indigenous cow-based inputs. So basically, the preparation and application of Jivamrit and the Bija Amrit, Dhan Jivamrit, Panchagav. This all you know, na? Ingredient of this desi cow preparation with the cow. Basically, the idea of making a Jivamrit, Bija Amrit is that you should have a 200 liter of drum. You fill it 170 liter of water, then you add some 10 liter of your desi cow dung, then you add 1 to 1.5 kg of besan of any dal. Means you can have it chana dal besan or the arhar dal or masoor dal, whatever it is convenient to you, and add 1 to 1.5 kg of gur. And by using such kind of material for 6 to 7 days, and you won't believe, and I have seen the literature and I have read the different kind of YouTube pictures on the natural farming, because initially also I was not thinking and believing that such a wonderful preparation of material that is called as a Jivamrit, Bijamrit, and Ghanjivamrit. Ghanjivamrit is basically the making a beds in the field condition, and you put it that holes, and fill it those holes with the material which you have made it in 200 liter of drum. And after 8 to 10 days, so the population of microbes will in such a way in a huge quantity that will make the wonders basically. That is the beauty of using this cow dung based inputs. And again, that ultimately you should have a soil health improvement by using the crop residue. That mulching is the another important aspect whenever using this weed management for this thing. And then you should have a drip and sprinkler irrigation. So again, the more weeds are there in the flooding system, but if you are adopting the micro irrigation system, so certainly such kind of uh, practices reduces the weed menace in the natural farming. The another point is that if you are having a green manuring, that's what I am advocating here in the Khet Bachao Abhiyan also. The use of grain dhecha and sunham, cowpea, green gram. These are the wonderful live material. If you are turn it into the field condition, so definitely your weed problem will be minimized to a maximum level. So ultimately, the mulching and the conserving the moisture, this is the real crux, and this is the real strength for any your weed management program in the natural farming.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Priya. She is saying, good evening, sir. How can artificial intelligence and machine learning improves weed management?
I told you now that and artificial intelligence and the machine learning is a very effective key for managing this thing. And we have seen in the field condition also that ultimately the AI-based technology or the machine learning technology is basically the computer vision technology. So what they do, that convolutional neutral network is their CNN, we call it as a CNN. So drone-based weed mapping is there. You can have a, because all this program has to be feed on the computer. You look at in that way, then only you will get the desired application, because it's a basically the idea of AI and the machine learning is that early detection of the basically weed in the field condition. Then precise identification. Precise identification is that whether that weed is basically is of which nature. It's grassy, broadleaf, likewise. Then you have a site-specific herbicide application based on the 4R approach, which I told you. So ultimately, will give you the precise weed management program in the field condition.
Okay, sir. So there is another participant and he want to know that what are the examples of allelopathy?
Examples of allelopathy we have seen in the field condition that some of the varieties of rice cultivars, but what we have seen in the at Raipur location. So rice varieties is there. So ultimately there are eucalyptus is there, sorghum is there. Sorghum also we have identified for producing the sorgolone, that chemical is there. Then in sunflower, which is of residue of the, it inhibits the germination of several weeds. Then rye, which is a of uh, relatives of the mustard crop. So excellent cover crop. Then mustard also, it releases the glucosinates. So it is suppressing the weed and affecting the nematode also, because the nematode is very problematic biotic stresses in the field condition, especially in the guava orchard. And the parthenin also already told you that parthenium is also contains some of the very good allelochemicals, and which strongly inhibits the crop growth and all. And so these are the crop which has the certain allelopathic potential.
Okay, sir. Sir, one participant want to know what is the scope of nanoherbicides in future of wheat management?
Yeah, nanoherbicides is very much effective in the weed management program, because we want to have a nano encapsulated formulation or the nano emulsion, which basically improves the herbicide efficiency. So ultimately, our target is that you should have a low potential or the low dose of herbicides in the field condition. So ultimately, why we are need this nano herbicide, because of the herbicide resistance weed problem is there. Then environmental contamination is the problematic is there. Then rapid degradation is there. Herbicide drift problem is also there. So basically, this nanotechnology can offer the best targeted and the controlled delivery of herbicides. So ultimately, this has the lot of potential, which enhance the uptake and the penetration into the weeds for smart nano material, and the ultimately it is going to affect the your weed management in a very way.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is another question. Can wheat utilization safely substitute aggressive eradication?
No, successfully we cannot eradicate, but the problem is, idea is that we can have a option for weed utilization also. We because 100% weeds cannot be utilized. You see that I was talking about the most of the weeds which has have the medicinal value of Ayurvedic and the homeopathy medicines. But again, that certain green manures, you can have it before flowering only. If that seed setting has been done, then if you are using those weeds in the field condition for any green manuring or the composting purpose, then it is your purpose is not going to solve. But ultimately, compost, vermicompost is also that weed biomass can be converted. And we have seen the suitable weeds for the vermicompost and compost making: water hyacinth, parthenium, and the lantana leaves. Then mulching materials are there. There are certain grasses, ageratum, and the this thing is there for moisture conservation. Then animal feed and feeders of fodders are there. The example is that Chenopodium, Commelina, and the other weeds are there. And for medicinal, I told you that how best Phyllanthus neruri is the liver medicine. And then the another aspect which I forgot, that bioenergy and the biofuel production. That is also one of the important area where we can have a biogas, bioethanol. The government has allowed now 100% ethanol based fuel in your motor vehicle, and which is also going to have a you can have, means you may have option for these beets also. Biochar is also there. So even in the mushroom cultivation also, these water hyacinth and the dry grasses are used. And the phytoremediation, already I have given you example that how best this two weeds, typhi and the Dosanex is there for controlling the heavy metals in the nalas and the other things.
Okay, sir. Sir, one participant is requesting you to kindly quote any good example of bioherbicide extracted from plant in cropped areas.
Bioherbicides uh, is available in the market, which has the the basically that Phytophthora permiflora is one of the bioherbicide agent is there. So that can be used for the milkweed in citrus orchard. And then another example is the Puccinia. So Puccinia is the bioherbicide agent for skeleton weed, the targeted weed. And commercial bioherbicide example, I think you might be, if you have been taught about wheat science courses, then Divine and Biomal and the Colego. These are the three best examples of the bioherbicides at the global level. Otherwise, the plant-based bioherbicides examples are there for neem extracts, eucalyptus extracts, and the sorghum water extracts. Because the sorghum and this I told you are having the allelopathic potential. So those who are having the allelopathic effect, then those can be used as a bioherbicide material.
Okay, sir. So one participant want to know that can herbicide control cypress wheat roots as he's facing crop loss by cypress weeds?
Cypress.
Yes, sir.
Cypress is a very tough weed. It has to be controlled in a proper way. One has to go for the deep tillage. Deep tillage means summer tillage. And in the summer month, when you are going for the deep tillage, then you should have a use of any non-selective herbicides like glyphosate, glufosinate. And by applying those non-selective herbicides in the field condition, then you can grow the crop, and again it has to be repeated in the next, because it is just like a cancer. In cancer you have to go for the all sort of your um, what is that, chemotherapy is there in the many times to the patient. So likewise for controlling cyanodon, dactylon, or the cypress rotundus, because their nuts are there, and if that one nut cut into that second place, so automatically from that place the plant will grow. So summer deep tillage and then use of non-selective herbicides, again it has to be repeated twice or thrice in the succeeding years, then only you will get a good result.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And the last question of the session is that to what extent we can reduce the pest and disease incidence in vegetable crops using drone technology in agriculture?
Drone technology is very effective in the field, and certainly the because the with the use of drone, the first important point is that early detection of pest and disease outbreak. So basically, so drone basically equipped with the RGB and the multispectral and the hyperspectral cameras. So with the use of those cameras, you can identify the pest hotspots and disease, and then their interventions for the losses in the field condition, then pest and disease mapping. I think the slides you have not seen, that I told you that how mapping can create the field level infestation in the maps, then precision pesticide application, because here you will have a targeted approach in the areas where the field is infested with the pest and disease, then you will have a targeted approach. So basically the drones are increasingly used for early pest, because in the pest warning and the forewarning system, we used to have such kind of technology. You can have fall armyworm in maize, or the BPH, brown plant hopper, in rice, pink bollworm in cotton. So these are the some of the examples. You can have monitor the major pest in the field condition. And monitoring for plant diseases, you can have the diseases of rice blast and the wheat blast is there. So ultimately, the benefit with this technology is you can have a better management, or you can have a better surveillance of these early infestation of pest and disease in the field conditions. So basically better crop health monitoring, and the pesticide consumption is reduced. So ultimately, the drones are basically transforming the pest and disease management from reactive to the field wild interventions.
Thank you, sir. And now I believe that we don't have any further questions, so let's conclude the session. As we come to the end of this enriching and insightful session, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Anil Dikshit sir, for sharing his profound knowledge, rich experiences, and valuable insights with us today. Sir, your lecture was truly inspiring and thought-provoking. The depth of knowledge, practical perspectives, and real-world experiences you shared have provided us with a deeper understanding of this subject. We are sincerely grateful for your time, guidance, and gracious interaction with our participants. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to all the participants for their active presence and enthusiastic participation throughout the session. Your curiosity, commitment to learning, and engagements are what make Ankuran 2026 a vibrant and successful platform for knowledge exchange and academic growth. With this, we conclude today's program. Wishing you all a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you and see you in the next session.
Okay, thank you.
धन्यवाद सर. जय श्री राम.
Jai Shri Ram.